here. Thanks to Disney, I was able to check out the brand new Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers before it hits Disney Plus. I'm sorry, I can't do this. I can't do it. It's lame. It's really like get it off.
Get it off. Thank you. I can't do it. It's really lame. Let's go again. Hey everyone, Dave here. Thanks to Disney, I was able to check out the brand new Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers movie before it hits Disney Plus. And in this video, I'm going to be going over all of my spoiler-free thoughts on the movie and letting you know what I thought about it. Before we get into it, don't forget to hit that like button down below and also hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'd also like to know, what are your thoughts on the movie? If you have seen it already, did you love it? Did you hate it? If you haven't seen it just yet, I'd like to know, what are your hype levels like for this one? What are you hoping and expecting to see from it? Fire away with all those thoughts down in the comments below. A comeback 30 years in the making, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers catches up with the former Disney afternoon television stars in modern-day Los Angeles in this hybrid live-action CG animated action comedy. It's been pretty much exactly a year since our last Disney live-action remake, reboot, reimagining, whatever you want to call these things, so we're coming in nice and fresh for Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. This one is of course based on the classic late 1980s, early 1990s Disney afternoon cartoon block series Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, based on the classic Disney characters Chip and Dale, who teamed up with a bunch of other animal characters to form the Rescue Rangers to solve all these kinds of weird and wacky animal cartoon crimes. It was such a great show. This was of my era. I grew up with it. I absolutely loved it. If you never got a chance to see the show, it is all on Disney Plus right now, so you have absolutely no excuse not to watch this absolutely classic series. So of course, when Disney tackles one of these classic properties, there's going to be a little bit of hesitation from a lot of people jumping into this one, but I feel like it's hesitation that it's natural, but I don't think it's warranted, because this, I feel, is probably the most different, most refreshing Disney reboot, remake, reimagining that they have done up to this point. Of course, if you know anything about this movie, it is an incredibly meta take on the classic series. It is not a remake of the series. It's sort of like a semi-reboot in which it's based in the real world, but it's a real world sort of inhabited by both humans and cartoon characters. This is basically the same world that Roger Rabbit existed in. Now, Chip and Dale were actors in the original cartoon series, playing themselves, and now they're kind of just washed up actors, and they have to kind of jump back into this whole world of crime and espionage when one of their old pals goes missing. But then at the same time, they're also talking about wanting to reboot the original series, so it becomes sort of like a reboot of the original series inside a movie that's about the original series, and it's a little bit confusing, but trust me, it really isn't when you're watching the movie. I think I'd like to see like a straight up Rescue Rangers reboot, and I feel like after this, it might be something we might get on Disney Plus or something like that. But I feel like to kind of revitalize this franchise, this is a really, really cool way to do it. Because, you know, it doesn't just focus itself towards the hardcore fans of the original show, but it focuses itself towards people who may not have ever watched it before. This is a really, really accessible take on this property right here. It's something that has something for absolutely everybody. What this movie does really well, actually, within the first like 5 minutes, is it gives you a little recap on the original series. Again, it's done in this really clever way that makes itself again accessible to people who may have never seen the original show before. I've always said these reboots are the best when they try to do something different. I mean, when you do a copy and paste movie, like say The Lion King or, you know, Jungle Book or any of those ones, you kind of do walk away going, what was the point? Why did we need that? Why did you need to like remake the exact same movie but in live action or in CG animation? When you take one of these movies and you add some new things to them, to the story, and you kind of trying to explore new things, I think that's the best way to do these. But Chip and Dale takes itself to this whole completely different level, which is incredibly meta and incredibly funny. This movie is, of course, the brainchild of The Lonely Island, which is Andy Samberg and John Mulaney, who both provide the voices for Chip and Dale, as well as Akiva Schaffer, who is the director of this movie. These guys, they all brainstormed this idea. They obviously pitched it to Disney. Disney loved it, and they went ahead and just basically made, I guess, the movie they wanted to make. With these guys behind the wheel, we know that we are in store for a really competent action comedy adventure movie of the kind that we don't really get all that often. Yes, at its heart, this is just a movie that just wants to be a big bundle of cinematic fun. first and foremost, with this idea of using these Disney characters as kind of the basis of it. It kind of builds this standalone movie, this standalone action adventure around this idea of the Rescue Rangers. Of course, this movie is absolutely loaded with great humor. It is so funny. It pushes the boundaries a lot more than I expected. This has a PG rating, and I think it pushes its boundaries as far as it can. There's a lot of really good drama in here as well. Like, this has a great heartfelt story at its core. I didn't quite shed a tear, but I was like on the verge, because it is a really kind of touching story. And I think not only just because of the nostalgic value of this, I think they just crafted a really beautiful story about these really beautiful characters. Of course, with all that said, this is a movie that is absolutely loaded with nostalgia. It's loaded with cameos. It's loaded with references. Of course, I know a lot of people are going to want to compare this to Space Jam 2, which is the movie that did it most recently. But of course, this is a movie that is essentially a spiritual sequel to, again, Disney's classic Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It, again, is set within this kind of hybrid world where the toons and humans live. Roger Rabbit, in fact, appears in the movie once. You've got all these classic Disney characters that come in, but just like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and unlike Space Jam: A New Legacy, this one not only dips into the Disney canon. We have got cartoon characters coming to us left, right, and center from places like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Hanna-Barbera. Just about everything you can imagine is pretty much in here. Nothing to that same kind of extent as Bugs Bunny meeting Mickey Mouse. I just don't think they were able to pull off a deal like that this time round. But there's a lot of really big surprising cameos in here that you're just gonna love. Just in the way that Roger Rabbit did it, it's so organic. It's not like Space Jam: A New Legacy. What the people, you know, the biggest complaint about Space Jam: A New Legacy was that it was just like a big promo for HBO Max. So they were just throwing, yeah, look at all these characters coming at ya. Well, you know who this guy is. This one really tones down on that. A lot of the cameos are just kind of background things. There's a few that do get like, you know, it's kind of speaking roles, lines and stuff like that. They never overstay their welcome, but they are always kind of crucial to the story that's being told. Is this the best Disney reboot, remake thing? I don't know if I'd say that just yet, but it certainly is the most clever, it's the most refreshing, and I think maybe even the most original of these movies. It is so much fun, and I really loved it, and I think if you're looking forward to this one, you're gonna love it too. With that, I'll be giving Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers a 4.5 out of 5. And at that, I'm throwing it over to you. I want to know once again, what are your thoughts on Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers if you've seen the movie? If you haven't seen the movie, how excited for it are you? Weigh in with all those thoughts down in the comments below. As always, of course, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks to Disney for the early access to this one, and thanks to everybody out there for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.